Okay, welcome to Fully Baked Radio, Part 2, sativacross.com, CMMNJ.org, and NewJerseyWeBand.com,
Medical freedom.
medical-freedom.com, and Frank Taney.
What's his
Dot
last name?
something?
Taney?
Frank Taney?
I thought he said taint.
TaneyLegal.com.
TaneyLegal.com. Is he sponsoring us yet? Okay, so welcome to the show anyway. Jeez, Part 2. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but apparently our computer rounds out after 2 hours. We have to restart the broadcast. So this is the Part 2 of the broadcast.
Part 2.
Okay.
Part 2. We have another
Do part 1 over.
41 minutes to go.
Is this Ken Walski?
And just in time for Part 2 is Ken Walski, director. Right? Director or executive director?
Chief Executive
Chief.
Officer.
The top banana. The big cheese.
The big kahuna. The main man. The man.
Ken Walski, please have a seat. Have a seat here, sir. We'd love to have you on the show because you are the host. Yes, you are the host now. You're officially the host with the most. You're the man. Thank you. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Ready for the 30th? Hold on.
Just in case.
We'll talk about that in a minute. What's the 30th? Well, we'll find out. All right, well, let's get he's all set.
Not like
we
being
don't know
prepared.
yet.
Nothing like being prepared.
Is that okay? It's been raining on them all day.
What are you going to do? They really should be under, but...
Well, thank you, Lefty. Thank you. I am Ken Walski, Executive Director of the Coalition for Medical Marijuana, New Jersey. Once again here with Sativa Cross and Fully Baked Radio. Thanks again for having me here, Lefty.
Thank you.
You're really short in that chair. I tower over you. Let me come sit next to you.
I like this.
And we're getting ready for the taping of another CMMNJ TV episode in Princeton Community Television. The
Cool.
taping's going to be June 30th, Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we're going to have some patients who have been having problems with the legal system.
Who would that be?
Who?
Well, Jessie Sanders said she's going to come. So Jessie's a young lady who was ensnared in the criminal justice system. She's didn't qualify for marijuana therapy at first, and really couldn't afford the prices at the alternative treatment centers. So she was growing her own marijuana in her house to treat her post-traumatic stress disorder and her chronic pain, very, very serious medical conditions
Two
that she
things
had.
that should be allowed and aren't.
Yeah, and she was arrested. Boy, what an investigation they did. They subpoenaed the records of all the public service, for the houses around her when they suspected she had a grow operation going, and
An operation.
yeah, and
They always put number of plants. Would you know what that is?
I don't recall right off the top of my head, but they had about a dozen state policemen came in, and the various agencies came in and performed the bust after they did a huge investigation, and everything is very well documented. They sent God knows how much money they spent on this investigation to arrest, and now they want to imprison this woman for having the gall to treat her own medical conditions with her own medicine.
How dare she help herself?
So anyway, Jessie's going to be there to tell her story at CMMNJ TV
Nice.
on the 30th, and we hope to have some other patients there as well.
Well, I want to see if we can get Philippe Dumais there because he couldn't make it to another one, and this is certainly more advanced warning than I gave him last time. I'm going to be in Canada. I won't be there.
Are you going to be in Canada on the 30th?
I'd be in Canada.
Ricardo said he's going to be there, Ricky,
Nice.
and he's going to be talking about his daughter Tuffy. I see he's getting an award from a local award coming up for his outspoken support of medical marijuana and his dedication to making sure that his daughter gets the best available medical treatment.
Tuffy.
This is Camden County, I believe, the freeholders passed a resolution honoring Ricardo Rivera for being the voice for his daughter specifically.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
they did
Yeah.
that specifically and specially in time for Father's Day.
So when is the award going to be given? Do you know, Jim?
I'm not sure. They passed a resolution. I don't know how they
Yeah, they're
how
going
they
to
manifest that.
They're going to award Ricky for his outstanding work in getting the medicine to his daughter, and stopping her seizures. Stopping her seizures when nothing else was working for this girl.
300 seizures a day she was having, as many as.
And it's outrageous. Do you know that 1/3 of all patients who have epilepsy do not respond to traditional anti-epileptic medication? So this is all the more reason why marijuana should be readily available to patients who have a diagnosis of epilepsy. And they're all too willing to do brain surgery on these people. As a last ditch alternative. Go in and cut through the skull and cut open the brain and try to cut out parts of the brain to try to stop these seizures. And oftentimes that doesn't work either. And the patients are left with significant deficits because of this brain surgery. And yet they think that this is a wiser approach to the management of epilepsy than medical marijuana.
Well, which should be up to, when you say they, you mean Ricardo and his family?
Well, Epilepsy Foundation, is just very mildly supportive of medical marijuana. They see it as a last-ditch alternative. In certain cases.
Are they asking for more studies, or are they just saying there's not enough? Yeah, I always find it amazing when a research organization says there's not enough studies. It's sort of like, well, whose fault is that?
Yeah, just wait. Just wait.
No,
Well, I'm
they
glad
have enough studies.
Ricardo is
I mean,
not
they had the one
not
study
waiting.
that went back to 1947 with the Association of Cannabis and Epilepsy, and then we go again with Harry Anslinger, wanted it squashed.
Yeah, William,
And that was in 1947.
your mother had epilepsy, right?
Yes, sir, she
Oh,
did.
mama?
Yeah.
She had grandma on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she ended up being a single mother trying to raise two babies. And my father was diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenia from the Korean War, and there was probably a very good possibility that it was a misdiagnosis. Where a lot of the symptoms of, so to speak, with paranoid schizophrenia are very, very similar to PTSD or shell shock.
Sure, absolutely.
Could easily
so
be
But your mother never had access to marijuana therapy, right?
no,
William?
my mother never did.
Yeah, no.
And that's just unfortunate that
It is unfortunate because, as you said, marijuana has been used as a treatment for epilepsy going back hundreds of years in various cultures, thousands of years probably, and yet we seem to have forgotten its medical benefits since 1937 at least.
Not only that, but back then they didn't have the handicap rule. So if she had a seizure on the job, 9 times out of 10 she was removed from the job because they didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know what to do. They weren't educated in the area. So let's just, get rid of it so we don't have to see it.
Right.
Unfortunately. And for whatever reason, we seem to do a lot of that in this country anymore.
And patients still face workplace discrimination, William.
But hopefully,
hopefully
we can stop the seizures.
Right. Right. That's the most important thing.
Hopefully we can stop the seizures. And cannabis is medicine, so.
Well, for every advance that we have, you find sometimes something that's not working right. Ricardo's daughter Tuffy, although they're doing wonderfully controlling her seizures with the oil that he has to make because it's not made properly by the state of New Jersey, but she's not allowed to have her noontime dose because she's in school and school doesn't allow it.
Yeah, she goes to that same school that the Barber child goes to, Jenny Barber goes to, the Lark School down in Maple Shade.
I didn't know it was the
Yeah,
same school.
yeah, coincidentally. How about that?
Maple Shade doesn't like medical cannabis.
No,
The entire town is against it.
Yeah, they resisted having an alternative treatment center.
I
sited
went to that
in Maple
hearing.
Shade.
You know why they didn't want it? They were worried about traffic concerns, people smoking pot in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Traffic concerns. I went there and explained it to them with a number of patients who were in the program that if all of them went to Maple Shade, all of them, at that moment, you might run into somebody in a parking lot, possibly, but other than that, there would never be more than one patient there at a time. And so now,
Yeah, there are many fears, ungrounded fears.
what would happen if Tuffy, I mean, what would the fear be with her taking her oil, not even smoking? It seems to me that if it's a legal state medication, it could be, there must be a school nurse. The school nurse would
Yes,
have her
there's definitely a
dosage,
school nurse.
would work with the parents on how to administer it and be able to
Right.
do it in her office, not in front.
Right.
They make it sound like she's going to get a squirt of oil under her tongue as a class project or something, where it would be in the nurse's office, out of sight, and, you know,
Well, the problem is that it's a Schedule I drug. It's an illegal drug, according to the federal government, even though the state of New Jersey permits it. And we're talking about
It's Schedule
using
I.
it in the state of New Jersey. But
well, you would be able to make sure I'm straight on this. Does not the state of New Jersey have its own scheduling?
yes, it does.
And it is Schedule 1.
And marijuana continues to be a Schedule I in the state of New Jersey,
So what would
despite the fact
yeah.
that we have a medical marijuana program, and despite the fact that we recognize marijuana as being a safe and effective treatment in the management of a number of specified
So,
diseases and
do you think it's
conditions.
possible that that school system would relent if it was changed to Schedule 2 at the state level?
No, it's a federal issue. They get money from the federal government as a school,
I see.
and they're concerned about basically the money that they get. They're
Well, that's
they're concerned
actually
about losing their funding.
That's a
know.
moderately, I don't know if they're using it legitimately, but that is a legitimate concern.
Well, it is and it isn't, Jim. Think about it. I mean, the judge certainly agreed with you and said it's a legitimate concern that this school may lose money. But when you consider the harms and you try to balance the harms between the child and the school could potentially lose some money. The child could potentially lose its
Well,
life
that's why
with a seizure.
That's why I prefaced what I
So-
said with they may be using a legitimate reason illegitimately. In other words, the way they're using it, I believe is not right, because they may be hiding behind that as a reason more than actually being fearful of it.
Yeah, far greater harm can come to the child because of a lack of having the adequate medication that will come to the school from giving it. And if there was a problem, you think that they would err on the side of safety of the child. You would think that the school's primary concern would be the health and safety of the children in its care. What they teach those children is all secondary to the safety considerations of the children. They have to have the safety of the children paramount, or that they shouldn't be in business.
I agree.
And they don't have the safety of the children paramount.
It goes away, like right now, beginning to the end of today, dawn till dusk. This is not an issue for them because it's not a court case. It's not people protesting outside. It's not on the news. We're talking about it in front of the State House, but other than that, there are no real consequences for them that I see.
Well, there is a court case, actually. On June 25th, there's going to be a hearing in the Office of Administrative Law, Judge Kennedy, I believe, and he's going to make a ruling on whether or not the school should give the medicine. So, but this case is, whoever wins that case, it's going to be appealed. There's no question about that. If the Barbers were to win, the state would appeal it, or the school district would appeal it. They're suing the school district, actually, and if the school district were to win, then the Barbers would appeal it. So.
Well, the fact that I wasn't aware of that should say that there's a lot of people that aren't aware of that. I would think it would be incumbent upon us, right up our wheelhouse, to make sure that however it works out on the 25th is well noticed by people. Whatever we can do to make sure that it is in the media, I know we will, and whether it's win or lose, because like you said, it'll be appealed. And
I'm not sure if these OAL hearings are open to the public. That's a good question. I'll have to find out about that. If the public can attend and support the Barbers in this hearing that's coming up.
we can do whatever we want.
Well, we can always appeal. You can always support them
yeah.
outside the hearing.
Yeah.
Whether or not you can actually
And
go into
as
the courtroom,
always,
I'm not sure.
when we do support somebody, I might add, we do make sure it's thought of as a good idea by counsel for whoever the appeal might be for.
Well, the Roger Barber is the lawyer, and he's representing his daughter in this case. So
See how little I know about this. We should just be talking to me direct.
well, let's see. But we did an interview, Jim. CMMNJ TV. You know, you got to keep up now. The Lefty did a wonderful editing job on that interview with. We had Laura Barber, the mother of Jenny, and we had Roger Barber and CMMNJ TV, and we did a 26-minute interview, and it's a great deal of information. Plus, it's been in a lot of news. I mean, this after our TV show, you know, this issue really caught fire. Thank you. This issue caught fire, and it's been in all the news. It was in People magazine, Jim.
Yeah, that's how I knew about it.
Yeah.
You know.
I actually went there to Park School to take a picture of the street.
That was great what
That
you
was
did,
a
Lefty.
it was a scary street that they wanted her to walk, Jenny, across this street where trucks, huge
Yeah.
trucks,
Mhm.
going
To use her medicine.
Yeah.
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 Come on,
well,
man.
what is it? They wanted to. They insisted that the mother come and take Jenny out of school at lunchtime, walk her 1,000 feet away from the school,
Yeah.
and then give her her medicine, and then walk her back 1,000
And the
feet. And this
administration
is an
would be
autistic
oil.
child. This is an autistic child with a
Right.
seizure disorder. You know, who has behavior issues because of her autism.
Yeah.
And you know, this was just completely unacceptable. And it was a wonderful video you did there, Lefty.
I will
of-
watch
of,
that.
Of the,
Give
of
me
the
a
trucks
pop quiz,
roaring
I'll
by
watch
in
it.
front of the Lark School in Mapleshade.
Well, Jim, I don't think you're fired up enough. So I'm going to play you something that's going to fire you up right now. Here you go.
Is okay.
Oh, no,
Because
not
it's
Governor
not.
Christie.
And it's now being medically proven by the Journal of Neurosciences that it's not even in casual occasional use. So I don't care about the tax money that may come from it, and I don't care, quite frankly, that people
Our
think it's
governor.
inevitable. It's not inevitable here. I'm not going to permit it. Never, as long as I'm governor. You want to elect somebody else who's willing to legalize marijuana and expose our children to that gateway drug and the effects it has on their brain? You'll have to live with yourself if you do that, but it's not going to be this governor who does it.
Well, at least they'll be
Also,
living.
back-
At least they'll be alive if they use their medical marijuana, Governor. Oh my God,
Yeah,
that fired me up. I don't know about you.
The gateway theory.
the gateway myth.
You know,
Gateway
what I would really like somebody to ask our governor is how many people, through all his overregulation and all of his concerns and everything he did to ensure that it wouldn't get into the wrong hands. The question seriously here would be, how many people did this keep marijuana from reaching? None. They're getting it somewhere else. As a matter of fact, they couldn't afford to get illegal black market state-sanctioned cannabis because it's twice as much as the black market. If anything, the black market price has gone down a little bit.
There's no scientific evidence that anything in marijuana leads people to use more dangerous drugs. The Institute of Medicine did a thorough analysis of this, and they concluded that exactly that there was nothing in marijuana that led people to use more dangerous drugs. The only possible way that marijuana is a gateway drug is because it's illegal. And the only place to get it is through illegal drug dealers who may have other drugs that they also want to sell besides marijuana.
Well, I would think
That's a good point.
the reason it's not called a gateways, plural, the theory is that if you don't go through a gate, you will not get to what's on the other side, and it just doesn't work that way when cannabis is not the first intoxicant that people try. The
Yeah.
gateway theory should say that if there is a gateway theory, it would be alcohol that is the gateway.
Alcohol and cigarettes.
Because if
yeah.
you ask anybody who has consumed both cannabis and alcohol, which they tried first, I would say 99 out of 100 would say alcohol.
Right.
So if we're going to talk about a gateway theory, perhaps they could do a little more
And-
to keep alcohol out of the hands of
Right, and forget the
kids.
scientific studies. Let's just look at the math. About over 100 million Americans have used marijuana, and there are about 3 million heroin addicts. You know, if it's a gateway, that's not a very strong gateway. The reality is that it's a reverse gateway. It helps people get off of more dangerous and addicting drugs. A study by the Berkeley Patients Group showed that of several hundred medical marijuana users in Berkeley, California, showed that the vast majority of them were using marijuana as substitute for more dangerous and addicting pharmaceutical drugs, for alcohol, a substitute for alcohol, and as a substitute for more dangerous and addicting street drugs. So, you know, marijuana really is an exit drug, not a gateway drug.
One of my favorite shirts is my one that says, "Herb is my anti-drug."
And yet we have the governor of the state of New Jersey perpetuating the myth that marijuana is a gateway drug. You know, you know where the gateway myth came from? I've been involved in this for decades. And in the 1960s, they still believed that marijuana led to insanity, criminality, and death. You know, that you would go and you would kill your mother with an axe.
You have to say it like this: insanity, criminality, and death.
Yeah.
You have to say it like Harry Anslinger would say it.
That's a good Anslinger impression. I got one of the best I've ever heard.
And you know, in the 60s, when millions of college kids were using marijuana, and they found that it wasn't associated with insanity, criminality, and death, it was associated with peace, love, and happiness. They said, well, you know, maybe marijuana is not as dangerous as we said it was, but it could lead to more dangerous things.
Yeah.
And my question is, what more dangerous things can it lead to? Jim, you just pointed out that marijuana is still a Schedule I drug in New Jersey, in the state of New Jersey. There are no more dangerous drugs in the state of New Jersey than Schedule I drugs. Schedule I drugs are not even permitted in the pharmacies in the state of New Jersey because they're considered too dangerous. They're considered too dangerous to be used even under medical supervision, even in an intensive care unit, presided over by nurses 24 hours a day and monitored by physicians. Still not considered safe enough to use even under those circumstances in the state of New Jersey as a Schedule I drug. What more dangerous drug can marijuana possibly lead to, Governor Christie? Please tell me, because I don't know. There is no more dangerous drug than marijuana, according to your Attorney General.
I got to agree.
For example, well, listen, you can name any number of people who've engaged in it, and he's one of them. I mean, these esoteric, intellectual debates, I want them to come to New Jersey and sit across from the widows and the orphans and have that conversation. And they won't, because that's a much tougher conversation to have. So as a country, and whoever's the...
Did he just say that? Those are his own words.
Is he making our point?
He just made our point for us. But he was talking about something else that made his point. How do you talk about?
So basically,
Wow.
he could sit down to with Phil and Paula Joanna and talk about their little daughter who died at 15 months old.
Let's talk about the widows and the orphans.
Yeah, let's.
Let's talk about that, Governor.
Yeah, let's talk about there are orphans whose parents died in needless discomfort. Yeah, you know, but the thing, he's got a lot of gall. And to say that with him refusing to meet with any medical marijuana patients ever, he has never agreed to a meeting with a patient. He's had his people meet with patients, and that's a blow-off, as we well known. But
That's
the
what
only
it, that's
time
what it
he-
amounted to.
yeah, the only patients he's ever spoken with are ones that have sought him out and caught him somewhere, and the only parents he's ever talked to of children who need this have caught him at town hall meetings. It's the only only place he ever
Or Brian Wilson at the diner. Don't let my daughter die, Governor.
Yeah. So what we do is offer the table for him to come sit at, and he. Well, I can't say he refused to do that because he did tell Lefty not now. And I'll tell you, our tough-talking governor, he's from Jersey. He tells it like it is. He doesn't mince words. If he meant no, he's not a wuss. He would have told Lefty, no, I'm not going to do that. Never. Not on my watch while I sit down. But he didn't say that, did he, Lefty? He said, not now, which infers another time.
Sure.
That's why we got the table. We're so encouraged by what he said that he will sit here one
Hope.
day.
Got to keep hope.
Cindy, put that mic down. You're not allowed to have a mic yet. Did you just,
Are you back from Ed's? How'd it go at Ed's?
how it go at Ed? How was
They're
Ed?
here to take me.
Okay, Robbie.
Is he ready?
Bob, you
for
going to take
me?
her to Ed's and get her hugs? She's going to get hugs at Ed's.
Ed Fortune?
Yeah, Ed Fortune's.
They miss my hugs down there. They
So
miss
can you
my
take her
hugs.
down there to get some hugs, please? And
Yes.
Ed Fortune's
I just
joint.
wanted to throw in 2 cents. You
Okay,
know, I
go
think
ahead.
that M&Ms are a gateway drug to pills, pharmaceutical drugs.
Yes, they are.
Because I started with M&Ms when I was really little, and then next thing I knew, the doctors were giving me these pills that I had to learn how to swallow by using M&Ms. That's how I learned how to swallow, and then the pharmaceutical drugs, I think, are the gateway because they start these little tiny kids off with all these pills with little bare aspirins and telling them to take it. It's good for them. So that's my thought on the thing. I think that the pharmaceuticals
See
are the gateway.
see what Ed Fortune thinks about
Yeah,
that.
let us know what
Let
Ed
us
Fortune
know.
says about that.
Okay, do you want me to videotape
I want you to
the
give that
hug?
microphone to my friend Eric because Eric, I want to know why you come here every week. What drives you? Everybody has a story about what drives them to be here. You have to stand over here by Jim.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And don't be sorry. We got to work this out.
Tell 'em what drives
And-
you, who drives you.
And I want to know,
drive
you
myself.
come here every week.
drive
I
myself.
know you're a cannabis consumer.
Yes.
But is it more than that? Do you have a family member that's sick? Do you have what makes you come here every week to want to legalize cannabis?
No, my whole family, it seems, is against cannabis except for maybe 1 or 2 members. So I'm pretty much a lone wolf in that case. But
I know that feeling.
Comes to get away from his family, apparently.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
No, I got to, and you know, I think also
Yeah.
why this is such a relevant question is we need to know what
I'm like the child.
prompts
Yes.
people to show up if we want to get more people to show up. And Eric has been here since he started coming in March, I guess right after the Mill Hill Park.
I went to a march in March, like the 20-something, and then after
March
that,
21st, yeah.
yeah, March 21st, and they said they had these every Thursday, but someone told me 8 o'clock in the morning. So one day I came here on Thursday at 8 in the morning,
no.
and no one was here, and I was like, so someone lied to me, and like I don't remember who it was.
Stoners,
It was someone
stoners,
at the
man.
march. Yeah, it wasn't you. It was
What do
no
you
one.
expect? You're talking to
It was
stone
no
people.
one here. There was nobody in this group.
You got to verify all your information 3
Yeah.
times with
So-
stoners.
So I was like, screw this, until I went to another march, and then someone was like, no, it's at 11. So I was like, oh. So then I started finally coming at the right time.
Okay, what are
And
we
that's-
doing wrong as promoting? We need to market
It wasn't-
ourselves better.
It wasn't you guys.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It all comes down to us marketing this better. And,
I think something special happening, an event, somebody showing up, a call in. I mean, it could be something simple like when Cory Booker stopped by last year. But, well, yeah, you get to see people like that. I think it's going to be a lot better when kids are out of school and people, you know, have vacations, and maybe I'm just wishful thinking. But as long as we can bring what we do to them through the podcast, I know we're going to be here every week. Well, except July 2nd when I'm in Canada. I'm going to learn how to play "O Canada" on the guitar.
come back and play it for us on the Gong Show. You'll be our first contestant on the Gong Show. We'll gong you.
I won't get gone.
You got to come back with an accent, the Canadian accent.
Yeah, you're just going to say A after
A.
A. Going to say A.
Hey. Nice. So Eric, have you ever had any problems with the police? Ever been beaten up by the police? Or
No, but
No.
I'm
that's good. That's good.
yeah.
So why do you come?
Because I'm very supportive of this. I've seen how much it helps people, whether it be a mental issue or a physical issue. It's a miracle drug, and it's being denied to people by the government.
Well,
And
then
Absolutely right, Eric.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
They're great reasons to come, but they're shared by so many people who aren't here. See,
Yeah.
we're looking for the holy grail of how to encourage people to come here. And I tell them it's an easy gig. You stand around, have a cup of coffee, and you talk to like-minded people. It's
Exactly.
fairly entertaining at times.
it's a great thing to look forward to every week.
Hello,
Hi
Roseanne.
there.
Roseanne Scotty from the Drug Policy Alliance stopped by.
Director of the New Jersey chapter of Drug Policy Alliance, who does
Yes, one of the strongest proponents of drug policy reform in the state of New Jersey.
Thank you for
the
coming
longest
over.
time.
I am sorry, I'm actually on my way to a meeting and can't stay, but I wanted to drop something off.
and our source of information on what's going on sometimes when we can't find out. Let me,
Oh, it's a shame you can't talk. Talk about your upcoming conference very soon.
just with a head nod, though, do you know why the Senate vote on 2898 was canceled while Senator Vitelli removed it from consideration from the fifth Monday's? You didn't know about that. Okay, well, we don't know why it was pulled from consideration and have not been able to find out.
I think there were just too many bills scheduled for that day, and that they are going to reschedule it as soon as possible.
I'd like that. I'd like to hope that's it.
I hope so.
Very encouraging,
Well,
Rosanna. Thank you.
Thanks for the thought, because that wasn't on our table. So,
Okay,
I'd like to believe that. That could be, because it was scheduled at the last minute. So it would have probably been scheduled after all the other. And I looked at the list, and there was about 15 things I had to deal with.
This is what's good about the podcast, because we get breaking news.
Breaking news
coming
breaking
right
news
over to
from-
our
from-
table, man.
From the Drug Policy Alliance for immediate release today, Thursday, June 18th, 2015. A new Rutgers-Eagleton poll finds a majority of New Jerseyans support legalizing, taxing, and regulating marijuana for adults.
Wow.
Findings mirror growing support for legalization across the country, and advocates say that taxing and regulating marijuana reduce injustices of marijuana arrests and generate millions of dollars in tax revenue for projects to benefit all New Jerseyans.
That's a Rutgers-Eagleton. That's a well-respected.
What's the percent?
58% of New Jersey residents support legalizing, taxing, and regulating marijuana like alcohol for adults 21 and over. 58%.
Does it say? Now, we would normally think, yes.
What's the against?
We would normally think that would mean 42% are against, but that's not necessarily so. Does it say how many are against?
Maybe it says it a little bit later on.
Well,
I'm just
because-
reading this
yeah.
for the first time.
You're
Those
doing very well, too.
Those who were surveyed were most persuaded to support marijuana legalization and regulation as a result of New Jersey's costly marijuana laws. New Jersey wastes more than $125 million a year arresting people for marijuana possession.
Ooh.
$125 million a year arresting people for marijuana possession.
There's a payment to the
That's
pension
tax
fund
dollars
right there.
going directly to suffering.
Wow, man.
Not only that, but it creates
Yeah.
second-class citizens too. It's so difficult to get jobs after you have an arrest record. It's so difficult to get an education after you have an arrest record. You can be barred from public housing. There are a host of civil penalties that
more
go
than
along with these
that
criminal
number.
penalties.
Yeah, and
You can be barred from employment. You can be barred from professions. It's horrible that the draconian penalties that accompany this $125 million a year that New Jersey wastes on arresting and arresting people for marijuana possession. This absurd policy
Give us
criminalizes otherwise law-abiding citizens and wastes law enforcement resources that would be better spent on serious crime and public safety issues. Thank you. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you. Support for legalization in New Jersey is growing. We see it on the people walking by, which mirrors national polls, said the director of the Eagleton Center for Public Interest Polling and professor of political science at Rutgers University, my alma mater.
He should know. Man's credentials.
Wow.
A 9-point jump in support from the April 2014 poll. 9-point jump in support.
That's huge.
Oh, that's massive,
No,
massive.
that's really big. What?
I think it's our podcast. It's finally making.
It's got to be.
Let's get another 9 for 2016.
All right, another 9.
Yeah, another 9.
58%. It just passed for the first time nationally the 50% mark, 2 years ago
Yeah.
or less. And now New Jersey, which was lagging behind the nation in support in many spots, you're telling me 58% support. In the poll they did, the original one, to see what support there was for medical marijuana, it was 86% supported that.
Correct.
But 3% didn't have an opinion, and only 11% were against it. So, that became, when you look at who's against it, it became an 8-to-1 margin almost. Now with this 58%, I'm betting at least 5% don't have an opinion, and it may be in the 30s who are opposed, 38, 39% likely. There's always a certain percent that don't know what to think, no matter what you ask them.
Yeah. Roseanne, who was just here, is quoted in this press release. Advocates say the polling bolsters calls for reform. More than 22,000 individuals were arrested for marijuana possession in New Jersey in 2010 at a cost of more than $125 million, said Roseanne Scotti, New Jersey State Director of the Drug Policy Alliance. New Jerseyans believe that our current marijuana laws are unfair and wasteful. These laws should be changed now.
Now. Well, you got an exclamation? Is that an exclamation? Now.
Now.
Emphasis was added by me.
That was
But
very good.
advocates emphasize that tax revenue from the sale of marijuana could generate millions of dollars to fund projects that help all New Jersey residents. And 4 states, Alaska, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and the District of Columbia, have already legalized marijuana. Colorado, which legalized marijuana in 2012, has generated $74.5 million of tax revenue from marijuana to date.
And they had to give some of that. They didn't know what to do with all that because according to their state constitution, they couldn't keep it all. There was too much.
Yeah, here we are. We can't publicly fund the pension, and yet we're letting $125 million. We're throwing away $125 million on a very destructive policy in the state of New Jersey, and we're ignoring another $75 million in potential tax revenue. Here's your money, Governor Christie, right here. We represent $200 million in revenue for the state of New Jersey to fund the pensions and the other programs in the state of New Jersey. Please come and listen to us.
And as much as New Jersey charges for medical marijuana, they'd probably make more money than Colorado on social use of marijuana because no doubt they'll want to pinch every penny out of that too. So
We have a higher population here.
Yeah, we have twice the population of Colorado too. Yeah, we have almost 9 million people, and they have about 5 million people in Colorado.
We might get double the tax revenue then.
Not to mention the jobs. You know, think about here. It talks about legalization would also create jobs in sales, production, related services, which will spur economic activity. So there are many, and this is coming from Senator Nicholas Scutari, a Democrat from Middlesex, Somerset, and Union.
municipal county prosecutor as well.
Senator Scutari goes on, the majority of people in America and in New Jersey support legalizing marijuana, and this is more evidence that this is the direction we need to go in. It's well past time that we updated our archaic drug laws nationally, but we should take the lead in New Jersey because it is the right thing to do for our residents and the responsible thing to do for our state.
I'd like to hear that argument a little more. You know, I mean, the governor gives his sound bites, but what would you pay to see Senator Scutari and our governor have this conversation? If they had a pay-per-view, they could probably make a couple million off of that just to see the discussion.
I'd pay to see that.
It's going to happen down the pipeline.
Who's that?
It creates industry. It creates jobs. It creates.
This is from his call-in show on 101.5.
Money, revenue. Look at California. Look at Colorado. What they've done.
Yeah.
how
Well,
much money they
hey,
have.
Sue, let me just stop you right there.
Yeah, he likes that.
You say it's going to come down the road. You know when it may come down the road? When I'm gone. It's not going to come while I'm here. There's a new study out in the Journal of Neuroscience. It just came out this past week.
Yeah.
That says that
He
even
reads that.
casual showed significant abnormalities in two vital brain regions important in motivation and emotion. Some of these people only used marijuana to get high once or twice a week. The co-author was quoted in the Northwestern University Science Newsline. They hailed the study as the first to analyze the effects of light marijuana use. People think a little recreational use shouldn't cause a problem if someone's doing okay with work or school. Our data directly says this is not the case. The study raises a strong challenge to the idea that casual marijuana use isn't associated with bad consequences.
Let's talk about that study. You know, that study that the governor refers to, first of all, it did not show any cause and effect relationship between the use of marijuana and changes in the brain. It was based on one MRI of the brain that was done that only showed a correlation between people who use marijuana and the changes in the brain. Those changes in the brain could have happened well before those people ever used marijuana. There were no progressive MRI changes to document that these changes were actually a result of marijuana use. That study does not show what the governor says that it shows. It only shows a correlation. And furthermore, Why is there a bias towards harm with the use of marijuana? You know, those changes could be harmful, they could be helpful, or they could be neutral. But we assume that there's a bias towards harm because because you're prejudiced against the use of marijuana. Those brain changes, if they were caused by marijuana, could actually be helpful and could actually be an improvement in the brain.
Like with multiple sclerosis.
Absolutely.
Governor, what do you have to say about that? Oh, he's
marijuana
not
is
here.
neuroprotective. There is no evidence, according to that study, no evidence whatsoever that marijuana caused these brain changes and that these brain changes were harmful to the individual. I'm sorry, Governor.
No, you're not.
No, you're
I'm not
not.
sorry either. I think that it would be.
I'm sorry that he's wrong and he's on the radio as being wrong. I don't want my
I'm-
governor to
I'm-
be wrong. I want him to have good information and I want him to speak the truth and I
He
want him
doesn't- you know,
to not to be misinforming the public about marijuana. I want him to tell the truth about
Let
it.
me ask you a question. You wouldn't vote for him right now. I know you wouldn't vote for him. But if he flip-flops on marijuana and says, you know what? You know what? Jim likes to use the word evolve. I say flip-flop. If he says, I will legalize marijuana, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. Would you vote for him?
No, I don't think that I would not vote for him. You know, unfortunately, he's got too many. He's got too many problems. I mean, look at his proposal for solving economic problems in New Jersey to double down in Atlantic City. You know, I mean, he was behind the creation of this Revel casino in Atlantic City when he first came on board. And, you know, that's proved to be nothing but a disaster. It's now in bankruptcy. And then not only that, but the other casinos are failing in New Jersey. You know, our credit rating has been downgraded so many times with Governor Christie in the chief executive role here in the state of New Jersey that his economic, you know, the programs are just a complete failure. And you know, New Jersey is way behind in economic recovery, according to the other states. You know, it's marijuana is one thing, but it's unfortunately, even if he flip-flopped on marijuana, he still would not get my vote. I'm sorry.
Did you realize that Donald Trump announced that he's going to be running for president?
Load up the clown car.
What's his views on legalizing?
I like the way he talks. He's a tough talker, but I think he's a capitalist. So I'm sure he'd be for marijuana because he's a capitalist,
Yeah,
right?
but he's went bankrupt how many times on his casinos? I mean, don't you think that caused a bit of a recession
Well,
here
he's
in
a smart
America?
guy. He knows how to do business.
Yeah, but he's still got all the money and we don't.
He fired everybody and he made money off
yeah,
it. So he's a smart guy. For him, you did
I
good.
say for him running for president, you're fired. Right? Just like his game show.
He's not actually going to run for
Oh,
president.
you're hired.
He's going to pull out. He'll
You're
pull
not
out.
You know,
hired.
and look what else Governor Christie supported. He supported you know, sports gambling. He's supporting casinos in North Jersey. You know, these people don't realize how dangerous gambling addiction is. You know, I've seen firsthand the people whose lives have been destroyed by gambling.
Yeah.
You know, they have the nerve to call it gaming in New Jersey. It's not gaming. That's a garbage term. It's gambling. We're gambling here in New Jersey, and you're gambling with the funds of people who oftentimes cannot afford it. It's not the rich people who are affected by gambling in casinos and online sports. It's poor people who cannot afford it, who buy into this dream that buying a lottery ticket is going to give them instant wealth. You know, they're buying a lie, and they're supporting this with very persuasive advertising in the state of New Jersey. And this is just harming people in the state of New Jersey with the gambling. And now he's willing to take on the federal government with sports gambling because and he won't take on the federal government with legalizing marijuana. I'm sorry, Governor Christie does not have my vote. He never did have my vote, and he's not going to have my vote. I'm not impressed with the current governor.
So no apology will work.
No.
What if he sits down here and talks to you face to face?
I would talk to him man to man. Yes, absolutely, and I would hope to change his opinion about certainly marijuana.
Would it ruin my reputation to say that I made phone calls on his behalf when he was running for governor? No, I want to tell you about it. I want to tell you about this.
You'd lose some street cred
No,
for that,
no,
Jim.
no. I was.
surprised you admit
Let me.
this.
Yeah, I used to like him.
Hey, let me
this a
finish
bit?
this.
Is this a
Whoa.
radio bit?
First of all,
Christie.
no. Stop. Don't let this hang here. I would not say that if I thought I couldn't finish it. Yes, I actually did that, but let me explain why. I monitor everybody who's against marijuana. I get onto their mailing list. As such, I was asked to make calls for him, and they had a script. I made the calls, I started a script, and then I asked them what they thought about medical marijuana, and said, that our governor supports it.
Did you get
And
fired?
so basically, I was making calls, and they kept giving me calls to make.
You didn't get fired?
I didn't get paid,
Well,
so I couldn't be
he
fired.
did say that he supported medical marijuana during the gubernatorial debates, the first ones.
Well,
anyway.
He lied.
Actually, he said that because of our interaction with him when he was a candidate. He said he would support it if it were strictly controlled, and I found that out when I was in Wisconsin, and somebody said, "Well, you're lucky. You got 3 candidates for governor, including Doug Forster, who all said they would support medical marijuana." And I made a $5 bet they were wrong, and then they showed me at the newswire. I hadn't seen it yet. So yeah, well, that was a politically expedient thing to say,
All right, guys.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you all for a great show on Fully Baked Radio, sativacross.com podcast. We'll see you next week. We're back
July 2nd?
July 2nd. We're going to go in the State House and get the permits for next week. Or for next couple weeks.
Next week, 25th. I'll be here the
You'll be here.
25th. I'm
Okay,
leaving on
25th, I'm sorry.
leaving on the 26th.
Okay.
I'll be here giving free hugs.
Go get your hug. Why are you still here? Go get your hug.
I'm going out to give free hugs now.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to come down to the joint and get a free hug, you're welcome to come.
Yeah, the Weed Man's Joint, 322 State Street, Trenton, New Jersey. The best munchy food
And
in Trenton.
spiritual retreat.
Spiritual retreat.
Spiritual reasoning.
Coolest place in Trenton. It's really good.
Very meditative. We're
Get-
going to go there, get hugs right now.
Get the grilled pineapple. And the jerk chicken. The jerk chicken's good too.
Yes,
So-
and smoothies. We need smoothies. Nice, healthy smoothies.
So thanks for listening to Fully Baked Radio. We'll see you next week. sativacross.com, CMMNJ.org. That's the Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey, CMMNJ.org. Medical-freedom.com, NewJerseyWeedman.com, sativacross.com, FullyBakedRadio.com.
And a special thanks to the Drug Policy Alliance of New Jersey for providing us
yes.
with up-to-date
Wow.
breaking news.
Breaking news, like coming to us on the street, man. Unbelievable. The drugpolicy.org. Drugpolicy.org, right? Okay. So please support them, and we'll see you next week. Peace out, everybody. I turned your mic off, Cindy. Sorry. You got to talk to Ed. Go talk to Ed first. Go take care of that. See ya!
Mash up that place.